So I'm coming to you directly from my backyard, which is why you may get some sounds of nature as well as some sounds of traffic. And I wanted to talk about taming the ultimate beast. Now, I've done a lot of dangerous things in my life, and I still continue to do a few here and there. And I work with people who are particularly interested in overcoming fear. They want to, particularly in the case of athletics, they want to be able to compete without experiencing fear. And fear is such an interesting topic because I think we misunderstand it. We misunderstand what we're most afraid of. And what's interesting is that we really aren't most afraid of what we should be afraid of, meaning things that are physically dangerous. That's not what trips up most people. Most people are actually afraid of something that resides within. They are afraid of feelings, specifically their own feelings. This is why it's scary to try something new. It's scary to risk disappointment. It's scary to open yourself up, relationally, because you can, become vulnerable in that way, and you can risk, hurt and disappointment. And if you can get yourself to the point where you're okay experiencing your own feelings, you're kind of on your way to becoming, in a sense, sort of superhuman. And I'm reminded of that tonight. About an hour or so ago, I just received some sad news concerning an athlete that I'd worked with for a few years, an athlete of whom I had grown very fond. That typical sort of young athlete who works really hard, who's positive all the time, even when it's kind of difficult to be positive, encouraging to those around her, and just an exemplary young woman in every conceivable sense. And she is currently going through some health issues, which may or may not be significant. The family doesn't really know yet, but this is a young woman whose early fortunes lean heavily on her athleticism. Her ability to perform athletically probably earn her an athletic scholarship. And with what she's experiencing at the moment, that potentially might be at risk. We don't really know. And in moments like this, in moments where we learn something sad about someone we care about, it's reasonable to feel sad. And yet, when we have those moments, when it's reasonable to feel a certain way, and it's I categorize sad in a certain group. I don't call them negative emotions. I learned a phrase from a trainer named Craig Sigl, who referred to things like fear and sadness as difficult emotions, which I think is a great descriptor. They're just harder to experience. They are simply difficult. And being sad is difficult for most people because there's nothing inherently enjoyable about it. But I find that if you can look at situations in their totality, a sad situation is the right kind of situation to feel sad. So right now, I'm feeling sad. I'm not trying to fight that, and I'm not one of those people who anesthetize themselves, with diverting types of activities or substances or anything like that. I just jump in and experience everything that I do. When it's good, it's good, and when it's difficult, hey, it's difficult. And this is one of those times. It's a difficult thing to think about and sort of contemplate the unknown that awaits this young woman as well as her family. So if you have something difficult in your life, consider not doing what we tend to do, we tend to want to do, which is to avoid it, but just lean into it. When it's time to feel sad, it's time to feel sad. If there's something to be scared of, okay, then be scared of that. There's nothing weak about that. In fact, it's the opposite, because most people won't do it. And when you can sort of overcome those inner beasts, as I say, you're well on your way to becoming truly, truly strong.